Hi, welcome to my live blog. This Friday's edition, we're going to talk about migrating control add-ins from Microsoft Dynamics NAV or C-side into Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central or AL. Let me just verify that everything works correctly because I have some suspicion that maybe you cannot hear me. Can you hear me? Please write into chat. Can you hear me? Seems to be working. Or, yeah. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about control add-ins. And let's take a look at, this is just going to be one very simple coding only session. I don't have any slides. I don't have any theory. I'm just going to show you how to take an existing control add-in and how to take it over into AL. So I'm now going to switch to my demos, and I'm actually just going to immediately go into something ugly that we don't like to see anymore, which is called Microsoft Dynamics NAV. And I'm going to present a very simple control add-in that I've developed for this demo. And actually, let's take a look. Why isn't it working? Okay, so here I am. This is a control add-in. It allows us to rate customers, so I can select a customer, I can click new entry, I can give that customer 4 stars and say very nice, and then somebody else can come tomorrow and say, oh, top customer. And then we have this. So it's an extremely simple control add-in, but it actually showcases everything that control add-ins can do. It shows how we can use scripts, how we can use images, how we can use style sheets, and how we can exchange complex data between AL and, or in this case, still CAL and the front end in JavaScript. Let's take a quick look into the old development environment C side. I'm actually just going to filter to all of the objects which I have changed. So yeah, I have a field that I have added to the customer table. This is going to store all the information I attach additional to the customer as a blob. I have one very simple fact box which includes this control add-in. So if we take a look here, we can see that this is this control add-in, and this simple subpage actually shows this control add-in, communicates with the front end. We will take a look at that control add-in shortly. I also have one small change in the customer list, which is this page part. One of the good practices about control add-ins, and this is something we are going to cover in future sessions as well, is to actually separate all the logic that control add-in has to do from the page into a code unit. So let me just go back into my control add-in, or actually the page that controls hosts the control add-in, and I'm going to show you where I have this code and what I actually do. So my control add-in, and now I'm going to show you the definition of the control add-in in Visual Studio, has 2 events and it has 1 method. And when you normally bind this control add-in to a field in C-side, what happens is that you have those triggers. And here, what I do in the control add-in ready, which is the default event that every control add-in should have, I actually initialize my control add-in management code unit. This code unit is going to do everything with the front end. I don't want to do anything from the page itself. And what I do, I pass the reference to my control add-in. Since this is .NET, control add-ins are .NET even though they host JavaScript. If I take a look at this initialize actually receives an instance of my interface. It has to have run on client, otherwise you would not be able to run it and actually it wouldn't work. So I store the reference for future info, and then anything I do, like passing information, like invoking this method that I have declared here, I'm going to do it from the code unit. So the page itself handles only the page logic, what the page itself needs to be concerned with, and the code unit handles any actual business logic. I have one function called update control. This update control checks if I have anything stored in this blob. If I do, I calculate that field, then I read the stream, and then I pass that stream onto a method inside this code unit. So this set stars, whatever it is, we don't need to look at it now. It actually handles this stream, which contains all the data, and then it communicates with the control add-in. Very similar with this front-end event, which is what happens when JavaScript calls me back. This front-end event, first of all, page has to respond to it, and then page does some logic, like it checks if there is any value, it reads, it calculates it if it's there, and then it creates the in stream, and then again passes this stream into the handle method of my business logic code unit. So with this, I have my page to be concerned only with what page needs to know about, and everything else, the control add-in stuff, is done from within that code unit. The reason why I still have a little bit more of AL code is that with this small chunk of code here and here, I can actually attach this subpage to anything. I can attach it to customers, I can attach it to items, to anything that where I want to have this comment system and star rating system. Because as you can see, I'm handling streams. I'm not handling customer record or item record or any other record. I'm simply handling streams. My code unit, which handles the business logic for my control add-in, is not concerned with customers. So it can do whatever it does with customers, with items, with whatever else you want to attach it. And this is also a best practice, something that I would recommend. But this doesn't have to do anything with the topic or the content of today's session. So let's focus on what we want to talk about today. Apparently, I have a working control add-in in Seaside, and it's there. And now I want to move that control add-in into Business Central. So let's go to Business Central. Let's go to Customers. It's freshly restarted machine, so I'm not sure how much time it will take. It's not warm. So I don't have it there yet. I'm not going to do everything from scratch. So what I have so far is a simple project. This is an AL project, 2020 Wave 2, where I have moved everything that doesn't concern the control add-in itself. So if you take a look, I have my customer table extension, which adds this extra blob field. I have my customer card, where I have added this subpage. I have this subpage. We will look at that a little bit later. I also have my code unit. So my code unit is here. It cannot compile because I'm missing this method. We will come there. And then I have my control add-in. And this control add-in is empty. And this is what I want to show. This is the stuff that today's session is about. I want to show how to move this, which includes these contents, which is images, scripts, style sheets. I will expand that so that you can see. And this manifest. How do I move that into my AL? I've mentioned last week when I introduced this session that I'm going to introduce two ways of doing that. The first way is called the black box way, and the second way is called the white box way. The black box way is a way where you actually want to migrate the control add-in and you do not have access to this anymore. So you don't have this interface in .NET. It got lost, like the time monster gobbled it up over the past 5 years when somebody developed it and didn't put it into Git or whatever. Like, you just don't have access to this. The good thing is you don't have to have access to this. So this, what you see on screen, it is not relevant. You can actually migrate your control add-in even without having this. And this is the first thing that I'm actually going to show you today. So how do we migrate the control add-in for which we do not have the original source code? First, you need to go into, well, I'm going to run my Windows client. It'll take a little time. Let me check how we're doing. So everybody is here. Not that many people today. I imagine that control add-ins are not the most exciting topic for most people, but still, I believe that you guys who are here, you are interested. So let's take a look at a page called Control Add-ins. So I have my control add-in here. The only thing I need to do is I need to click Export. I need to open this, and then I need this zip file. So from this zip file, I will take all the content, and I'm simply going to move it somewhere into my extension. So I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it resource for now. I'm going to reveal that in Explorer. So I'm going to actually go to resource folder. I'm going to take this content and put it here. So this is the first step, apparently. This takes care that all of the content of the control add-in, and it's not the DLL that matters, it is this that matters. So you just take it and make it available to your Visual Studio Code. Now I don't need this folder anymore. I have everything in here and I can take a look. So my images are here, my scripts are here, my style sheet is here. And I have manifest. I will not need this manifest. It's an XML file. AL cannot do anything with it, but it describes what I need to do with my control add-in. So I'm going to my control add-in here, and everything I have here, I need to actually move over here. So let's just do it in a quick way. I'm just going to copy all this, and then I'm going to paste that here. And then I'm going to just add, I will start with scripts. Scripts equals, and then I'm just going to take these, and then I'm going to do it like this, and then add a comma. And then, since it's not in the root, it's actually in resource/script, I'm just going to do that. Resource/script/, and then I have my scripts taken care of. Next is style sheets. So I'm going to, there is only one, so I don't need to go through all that hassle. Resource, style sheet, and then I'm going to take that style sheet here. And then I have a lot of images, so I'm going to repeat the same stuff. So images equals, and then I'm just going to do this. And like this. So this is the first part. With this, I have declarations of all of my resources. Let's move further down. The next thing I have is script. This script is nothing but startup script. You cannot take this anymore. You cannot declare a script, as you can see, but you can declare a startup script. And this startup script is not a string which contains code, like here. That's not what you can do. You actually need to take this code and put it into a new script. So you need to create a new script file. I'm going to do that. I'm going to call it startup.js, and I'm going to put this code in there. So I'm going to format it nicely. So this is my startup script, and then inside my control add-in, I'm going to say that my startup script is resource/ what's going on with my keyboard? Yeah, style, and then startup.js. Nice. That's the first thing you need. It's not style sheets, it's script. Then the other part that is not directly translatable between the manifest and control add-in definition is script URLs. Earlier, you were able to download scripts from a URL. In AL, you have to actually include those. You need to make them a part of your project. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to download, actually I already downloaded them, so I have them in a stash. So I'm just going to stash them out. This is my scripts. So I have these two. I'm going to just take those two and move them over to my resource folder. Actually, not from here, but from here. So I'm moving that. So now I have both external scripts available in my scripts folder, and I need to declare them here. To declare them, I actually need to put them on top of scripts because I want them to be loaded earlier. They need to be loaded first. So I'm going to take jQuery first. And then I'm going to do the same with numeral. With that, I have taken care of this part. Allow caption, it is not supported as far as I know, so I'm just going to skip that one. And I'm going to go to the sizing part. I'm again going to copy that. I'm going to put it down here. I'm just going to fix that. And I'm going to do it like this. Sorry. First, I'm going to remove this from the rest of the file. And then I'm going to do it like this. Okay, so these are the sizing properties. They are called exactly the same. So by this simple Visual Studio Code trick, you can move it over and have it inside of your control add-in. And the last part is the interface part. And as I said, like we are still in the black box way, so I do not have access to this anymore. I need to figure this out from the code. So what I probably do have access to is my original C-side code or AL code at least. So here I'm just going to use my AL code. And I'm going to observe the content inside my user control definition in the page. And I will see that I have this control add-in ready trigger, which means I need to have the same event inside my control add-in. So I'm going to declare that one. I'm going to say that I have an event called this. Then I have another event called this, and I'm going to copy the entire signature. So I'm going to create an event this. And then in the end, I have a function. And this function is actually in my code unit. I can now see that my page compiles. I only have a problem inside code unit. I have it here. So I have a procedure or method called this. And I don't know exactly what parameters are. I can attempt to extrapolate it from here. So apparently the first one is a string. So I'm just going to put it as method name text. And then there is something else. It's content. I cannot see it from AL, but I can take a look at CAL. So I can go in my code unit and take a look at this invoke frontend method. And in fact, I can just go to info and then methods and then invoke frontend method. And I can see that this one is actually dictionary. And this is something I want to address. In CAL and C-side, you were able to map anything serializable to JSON. And whenever you have an object which is serializable as JSON, you could pass it over. Since it was far easier to use dictionary in CL than Newtons of JSON objects, at least you didn't have to move any DLL files around. You always have dictionary available in MS Core Lib. I typically use dictionary. Dictionary translates directly to a JSON object. So if you have a signature which says that you are using a dictionary, then the translation of that is actually JSON object. No, not here, inside my signature. So here. So content.json object. And that's it. So at this time, I actually have my compilable AL project. So I can try and deploy that and see if it actually works. So I'm running that. It's sending request to my web, actually to my development endpoint, and then it will run my web client. I don't know why it's taking so much time. Okay. Come on. Okay, it used the wrong screen for that, but I'm just going to move it over here. So it's still loading. Let's wait a second. And there it is. And apparently it seems to work. I can actually click new entry, but you see, it has no images. Let me actually see if it does work. Test 1, test 2. It seems to work nice. The problem is that I don't have images. I would need to have images here, here, and here. And what's the problem? The problem is how JavaScript retrieves images. And this is something you will encounter always when you're using any images, when you're migrating your control add-ins. So let's take a look now for the first time at JavaScript code, because we will need to do some changes. So if you know how JavaScript retrieves an image, then you could simply search for that function. So there is a function called getImageResource. And if I look for that, I can see that I have this getImageResource. Apparently, I have wrapped it into a class. So I have this map path, which means I'm going to look for my map path. This is just mapping to my getImageResource. So if I look for map path and take a look, I can see that I retrieve it at several places. So I have it here, I have it here, and I have it here. So what is the problem? The problem is that when I'm referencing an image, earlier in Seaside and in zip-based interface, there was a requirement that all images go into image subfolder, all scripts go into script subfolder, and all style sheets go into style sheet subfolder. However, with AL and Business Central, when you have a control add-in defined in here, like this, apparently you can put it anywhere. You don't need to put it into image, style sheet, script, whatever. AL doesn't care. So when referring to a script, you actually need to specify the full path. So what I would need to do is I would need to actually take this, and actually not that, but this, and use it with every single instance of my map path. So if I do it from here, I would need to do it like this. Okay, I need to fix it like this. Then I need to go here, and then apparently I need to add that here. Sorry, I will just copy this part. Let me fix this. I'm just going to do resource and then image, and then I'm going to put it here. And if you are going gotcha there, yes you are. I'm going to address the same concern that I also have here, that you might have there, that I'm actually hard coding this path. That is a problem, but I'm going to address that problem later. So I'm now storing this path. I'm just going to fix it shortly and quickly. So now the problem is solved. My paths should be correct. So when I actually run this, I should be able to see that. Again, it's showing me stuff on incorrect screen. Okay, there we are. So if I click new entry and click this and do test, now my stars are actually working. So, and this is fine. This, like, we can say we have fixed this, but we actually haven't. If I go back to my source, I can see that my resources actually reside in a folder where I do not want to have them. I would most likely want to have these three somewhere underneath my source. Okay, and then maybe, just maybe, I may want to have a folder called resource here, like this, and then just put script and image and style sheet in there. And if I now run my project again, first, of course, I cannot, because my control add-in definition will not compile. I have to fix all these into src/resource, and then I can compile that. You will notice that it is broken, because it should be broken. So again, it's showing on another screen, and it's broken again. So every time you change the path, this is going to break. And this is something you do not want to happen. So how do you address that issue? Unfortunately, the Control Add-in framework does not help you there. You have to do it yourself. So you need to actually make sure that your scripts are fully aware of your paths. And this is not a good thing because, you know, every single, like here I had 2 places where I wanted to change, or actually 3, 1, 2, 3. It can be a million places. Yes, you can create a constant and then change that constant once and then have that constant used. But still, what I prefer is to have a script which takes care of that. So that's what I've prepared here. I have another stash here. So I'm going to unstash this get image resource fix. And this actually creates this get image resource script. I'm not going to go into that. I'm simply, for now, going to put it into my script folder. And there is only one thing I need to specify inside of this get image resources. That's the root folder in which it resides. So I will just call it script because that's what it's called here. So when I save this and now run my app, it seems that it is not running, so I'm running it again. Okay. Moment of truth. Broken. I didn't see this coming. This is probably a very bad moment. I need to say, trust me, it works. I'm actually going to fix this. I'm not going to figure out now what's going on with... yeah, I know what's going on. Sorry. I need to reference this script from my Control Add-in. Yeah, that's a trick. So I'm just going to put it at the beginning. src resource script and then get image resource.js. Yeah. And then I'm going to run it again. Let's take a look. It loads. Still broken. Now I will have to look into it, and I'm actually just going to explain to you how this get image resource works and what it actually does. So every script, every style sheet, every image is extracted into a folder called resources, extracted resources, and then some hashtag, or actually hash. Assume it's a cryptography hash that uniquely identifies that resource for this session. And then it has the path that matches the path of your resource. And what I do here is I detect that, I detect what is the path, and then I simply hijack the get image resource function, and I replace it with my own, which calls the original one, but in that process it actually detects, or actually it attaches this relative path to the path of, and yeah, of course, now I know the other thing, what I actually broke. I forgot to say that when you're using this get image resource, there's one more thing you need to do. Please forgive my fumbling. I'm going to change this into this. So I'm going to remove all of these. And I have one more here. And then I'm going to run this. And it's not broken anymore. So what do you need to do with images and anything that you retrieve with get image resource function? What you need to do is you need to use the relative path to your source. So if your source is in src, then you use, sorry, I apologize, the relative path to the root of your control add-in. So if you have all of the resources in this resource folder, you're using the relative path from that folder, which contains all of your resources. So if it's image, you call it image. If it's called images, you would call it images. And you would have to do that for all of your existing scripts. The only other option you have is just to put all of the resources into the root of your project, which doesn't make much sense. So with this little manual work, like you need to re-reference all of your images, and you need to include this extra script file, you take care of this problem. So this is all I wanted to present today. So I'm actually now going to fall back to my just presenter view, and let's have Q&A part. So any questions? I just wanted to say I will put this on my blog today so that you will have access to this script file. You can use it in your projects. It's a very simple one. It's actually fairly safe to use. It doesn't break your control add-in. It actually fixes it. Any questions at this moment? So I would say that you have no questions, or well, oh, there is a retracted message. Let me actually type something here. No. Okay. Do control add-in work with SAS? Yes. Well, they do. They do with anything that you need to transpile. So you can use not. Actually, let me rephrase my answer or retract my answer, because there is a difference between SAS and SAS. Okay. So the first one is software as a service, and the second is it's a CSS standard. I'm not sure exactly what the acronym stands for, SASE, style sheet, or something like that. So if you ask about SAS, I assume that you are asking, can you run this in AppSource in Microsoft Cloud? And the answer is absolutely yes. So this is 100% supported. It doesn't use .NET. It uses all the features which are fully supported. So yes, you can use it. And if your question wasn't about software as a service, it was about SASE, CSS, then I'm going to say yes, but then I would recommend that you follow my session from last year at Tech Days, where I have explained how to use transpilers or bundlers to actually package your SAS or React or Angular or anything else that needs to be transpiled, and then move it into control add-in. Another question. Yeah, you're welcome, Neil. So I'm glad that this will help. So a question from Sebastian. Is there any recommended structure how to manage very large JavaScript or TypeScript projects related to Business Central? Well, we will have best practices sessions about this, but for now I'm going to answer that absolutely yes. The best practice is to actually not include all of this here. Typically, when you have large projects, you would bundle them into a single file called bundle.js, and maybe two files, bundle.js and bundle.css. And then those files would contain everything. And then you would include them here. And then you would have a separate project in the same solution, which would be where you developed in TypeScript or React or anywhere else. You bundle your JS file and move it into your AL project. Last year at Tech Days, I presented how to do that with React and Webpack. This year in my live blog, and I think it's going to be in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, there will be a session about how to configure DevOps with control add-ins and control add-in development. And there I will address this problem. So how to configure DevOps so that you can develop your TypeScript, for example, outside and then move your bundle into your AL project. There is a question from Job, I'm not sure what it's pronounced. Is there a node library available to simulate BC pages and data exchange with React projects? Yes, thank you for reminding me. Not yet. I'm working on it. I have actually a project where I want to build a node package, which would be available on NPM, where you can mock the entire backend infrastructure. I have presented that last year at Tech Days. It's actually available in my source in my GitHub, but you would need to extract it yourself and play around. I want to actually make a NPM package out of it. So question from JD Viska, or I'm not sure what the first name is. Re-ask, what are some of the more common types of controls you've needed to make more display type controls or enhancement data manipulation, such as new text boxes, data grids, etc. So I've done a number of them. So maybe the most prominent one is the POS control add-in, which I've done for NaviPartner, which I've presented several times on my direction sessions and my Tech Day sessions, which is really huge. So that's the biggest one I've ever done in my life. Then I've done some control add-ins for various partners. For example, one recent which I did was for, well, I'm not going to use names for my customers except NaviPartner because I'm currently working with them. But I've done a control add-in which was a scheduler control add-in where you could have an overview over a schedule. You could pass the data between AL and JavaScript, represent that schedule in a visual way. Then there is the drag and drop control add-in which I put on my blog. Then a number of others, I mean, a lot of them. Typically, it's data visualization. So it's some way to visualize data in a different way. And then there are some where you simply want to do some kind of intuitive interaction which is not available outside the box in Business Central. Sebastian Klaus, thanks for answering. You're welcome. And Job, again, you're welcome. So any other questions? I think this is taking more time than I wanted to. I was kind of aiming for 20-25 minutes. This is 40 minutes. I will need to figure out how to shorten my demos in the future. Okay, I think that's all. I thank you all for joining this session. I'm going to close this down now. See you next week. Next week's topic is going to be, I called it Fun with Interfaces. I'm going to address how we can use interfaces and how we cannot use interfaces when working with the AL. And the week after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about another function inside of Microsoft Dynamics NAV Control Add-in framework, which is called Invoke Extensibility method. And I'm going to address some best and bad practices about it. And then the week after that, we're going to talk a bit about AL development patterns or design patterns. So thanks a lot for joining me and see you next week.